What's up, guys? Welcome to the Score Esports podcast. As per usual, I am your host, Colin McNeil. In the booth with me, we got Josh Burry.
Hello, I am present.
With no hat this time.
No hat.
We've also got, to my left, one Dennis Gonzalez.
Hey, how's it going?
Now, when Dennis is on the podcast, guys, that can only mean one thing. We're talking CSGO. I'm happy that we get to talk Counter-Strike. It feels like we've been talking about League of Legends for way too long on this show.
Agreed.
Even Josh agrees, and we know that he is a League of Legends fan. But enough about that game. We've got an extra special guest this show. I'm not lip servicing this. I'm not bullshitting this. This is not hype that is artificial. We have got one of the greatest to ever play the game. Easily one of the greatest, arguably the greatest, depending on who you ask, to ever touch the AWP. One, Kenny Schrub. You know him better as kennyS. Josh, enough of my bullshit. Let's get kennyS on.
Kenny, are you with us?
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hello. How are you?
Great. That was a pretty good introduction. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, Kenny, you are, what time is it where you are? 2 p.m.?
No, it's 1 p.m. I'm actually in Scotland. So yeah, it's 1 p.m.
What part of Scotland are you in?
20 minutes away from Edinburgh, the capital.
Very nice, very nice. I've been to Edinburgh. It's a really beautiful city.
Yeah, it is.
I hope you get a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah, I do. Well, the weather is not that nice here, but otherwise everything is pretty cool.
That's true. At least it's got to be warmer than here where we are. It is 8 a.m. in Canada right now, and it is cold.
Yeah, it's like minus 10 or something like that. Right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for sure, actually.
Yeah. Have you been to Canada, Kenny? I forget.
Yeah, I did. Twice actually, and I will love Canada. I went to Montreal twice, and it was one of the best cities I've ever been to.
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, we have all these CS:GO questions, but since you brought up Montreal, I do want to ask you something really quickly, because there's a perception, at least in Canada, that people from France are not super respectful or big fans of people from Montreal. And I'm sorry, I want to know what Kenny's perspective is on the people of Quebec.
Well, the reason why I love Montreal is because I actually find the people there really nice. They're really, really nice, super nice. Not like in France, actually.
Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you. That's great. All our French fans will be our French Canadian fans, by which I mean, will be very pleased to hear that. Now, I suppose I should cut the, as I said in the intro, cut the bullshit, get right to it, Kenny, if you don't mind. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's going on with G2 right now. The last we heard, that's not a good sound.
Technical issues. No
issue. Kenny was like, "Oh, you want to talk about G2?"
No,
I'm out.
No,
I'm out.
T-Tours.
T-Tours?
I don't know, Twitch.
Have you seen the latest Memory Lane, anyone? It's
Yeah.
a series we do here at theScore Esports. It investigates the origins and cultural impact of memes, and that's one of them. So check it out.
Hey,
Kenny.
I actually don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
No problem. I was worried. I said, let's talk about G2, and you were like, nope.
Quit.
Yeah, exactly.
kennyS has left the server.
Oh, God, no.
Okay, let's talk about G2.
Let's do it. The last we heard in March, to my mind anyway, is that shox was stepping back. Mixwell was coming in. I believe MBK was going to try the IGL role. Is all of that still current in G2? You guys are about to go into Marseille, which should be the LAN debut of these new changes.
Yeah. It is still the same. NBK is still in game leading, and everything is like you said right now.
How is, I guess we'll start with MBK. How is IGLing? Obviously, you guys must be satisfied with it.
Well, so far, yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. Let's be honest, I had a choice to make like a month ago. And I would say that my choice was not on the NBK project directions, but I always knew that I had had the guts and the talent to be an in-game leader. I'm not sure it will work out at the end or whatever, but I trust him at 100%. And let's say that so far we've been pretty satisfied about what he does, and I'm really his ideas about the game, how he see everything, is something that I share. So yeah, I think he has everything. He has everything to make it works. But we'll see in a few months. We'll see in a few weeks how it goes. But so far, everything is pretty great with him.
When you said that you had a choice to make a little while back, would you be able to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So as everybody knows, shox didn't want to play with Nathan and Dan anymore. So I was one of the player that had the choice to make. And let's be honest, I wanted to play with shox, Myth, and Existence, especially for many reasons. I felt like shox project had more coherency. I also felt like shox was not made to be a leader. So making him a player would make him like more impactful, I would say. I also really want to play with Existence because I reached my prime with him. Like it was my highest pick, and that's the one I really like. I really like. It basically taught me everything I know about the game. Every principle, everything I know about the game. It has been learned from Existence. So yeah, I really wanted to play with Existence again. But you know, sometimes you don't have to think about just yourself, and there was a lot of things that I wanted to take in consideration. I also didn't want to necessarily kick players like NBK, for example, because to me he's one of the best players in France. I think he deserves a chance to do what he wants. I think he has a lot of great ideas, as I said earlier, and I also wanted to give him a chance as an in-game leader because I think he deserves it. I also took in consideration my club opinion. G2 wanted to make a tryout with NBK, so I kind of followed the ideas. And yeah, I was willing to follow shox, but in the other hand, I was also willing to make that tryout with NBK.
So it sounds like you wanted to pursue the shox thing. Obviously, I think fans want to see you play with shox too, because we had to wait so long to see you finally play with shox in your career. But are you keeping your options open? Because like the way you're talking about this, it sounds like maybe at a future date you would be open to working with shox.
Yeah, I mean, everything has been pretty fine with everyone, and as I said, I didn't necessarily want to kick players or whatever, so I don't have beef against anyone. I would love to play with shox again. But for now, I think I'm just gonna say that let's see what the future holds, and let's see what is gonna be after the tryout period with the team right now. But so far, I want to be involved in my current team as much as possible and make sure it works. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, it is what it is. But for now, I'm just giving my best.
I want to actually just quick sidebar, Kenny. You mentioned Xyz, and obviously there's been a little bit of I guess controversy. Like some players don't want to play with him. Do you know what the reasoning behind that is at all? Because like it feels like maybe that affected some of the mobility of the French scene, like French players just not wanting to play with Existence.
Well, first of all, it's been quite a long time now that Existence kind of like left the top level in France. I think there is reason for that. People used to say that existence was like out of the game in a way that he didn't see it the right way, which I don't necessarily agree on. But there is something that is true, that I'm pretty sure the time off of the top level has been really good to him, so he could really focus on what was wrong and maybe change a bit his vision of the game. So yeah, maybe people think that XZ had like struggle to change his mindset, to change his vision of the game, to adapt to a lot of things. I'm not among the ones that say that I don't want to play with existence, so I could not say properly why people don't want to play with him anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a quite hard question for me, because I always been really fan of him in a way that, as I said earlier, he taught me everything I know about the game.
Fair answer, completely fair answer. Going back to the current structure of G2, Mixwell, I think will make his LAN debut for G2 at Marseille. How is he fitting into the team? Because he's obviously not French. He's from Spain, so that's a bit of a change.
Yeah, it is, especially in the communication so far. He's still working on the French stuff. I think he actually understands like 99% of what we are saying, but it's not his mother language, so he's still communicating in English. I mean, he's like 60% of English communication and 40% in French. I think it's a bit hard for him to get the reflex to, especially the callouts and maps. It's really hard for him because we have really weird names, and you know, it's something he has to learn on a long term. So it's not gonna be perfect after a month. So we don't expect too much about it, but the communication is not really a problem, as we all speak English and we all know the callouts in English. But I think he makes a lot of effort to be into the team and to make sure everything is working. I didn't really know him as a player. He's been quite impressive to me. His individual skill is really good. He's clutch. He's actually a pretty complete player. He still lacks of some little things, especially in the communication. But as I said, it's only been 1 month, and he still has time to get into the team, at 100%. So we're just giving time. But so far we're satisfied about him.
That's good. What about his position in the team? I know in previous teams he's played for, he's been more of a hybrid player, but he's also said that he, if memory serves me right, that he doesn't actually like AWPing. So has he been mainly a rifler, or is he still kind of picking up the AWP here and there?
Well, actually, what I didn't know, he didn't like to AWP because he actually AWPing a lot. Well, he's still the second AWPer, and I would say that he's AWPing like 60% of the time, maybe 50. But yeah, he's still the kind of player you were talking about. He's a hybrid player. He likes to rifle, he likes to AWP. So yeah, as I said earlier, he's a pretty complete player. He can do a lot of things, and that's a role we took him for, to be the complete player, to be the hybrid, you know.
So Kenny, with all these recent changes to the roster, how are you guys feeling going into Marseille?
We're gonna have a small boot camp before Marseille, like 5 days. To be honest, we're feeling pretty confident right now. The result we have has been pretty decent. I would say mostly encouraging. it's not perfect, but it's really encouraging so far. The practice and everything has been really encouraging. So to be fair, we aiming for at least the semi-final in the DreamHack Marseille, especially that is on our home soil. Our group stage will be super tough, and this will be really hard task to go through. But I believe we can do it, and yeah, like our expectation is to reach the semi-final at least.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do want to talk about your group specifically, actually. However, you said one thing. You were talking a little bit about practice, and I just wanted to throw in a question about your personal practice methods, because I've read different AWPers, specifically AWPers, practice in different ways, and I have heard that you are very into mechanical practice, sort of lots and lots and lots of DMs, maybe aim maps. Is that the case?
Yeah, it is. I actually have always played DM, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to change his habits. Like, for example, even in game, I never change my settings. I'm using the same settings since Counter-Strike Source, almost like most of it. I barely change. I don't like to change stuff. I think when something works, I just keep to it. It doesn't mean like it's not something that is 100%, right? But I think in training and it works. I've been playing deathmatch and I keep doing it. I think it's always been the thing that worked for me, that helped me as much as I wanted. I tried to play FPL, I tried to play Mix. I think it's also working. I think you have to play CS to be good anyway. It's like, but if you play, I don't want to play CS to play CS, right? I want to play CS to make sure that it has an effect on me and on my individual skill. So I think what gives me the most results is definitely to play this match.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Another thing on the group, in your group is FaZe, and notably, you can't see it right now, but Colin. Oh, actually, you can see him. Colin is facing up.
Sorry, I just phased up a little bit.
But on that team is Guardian, another notable AWPer. Do you consider him a rival in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we've been playing together. We've been playing against each other since the beginning of my own career, since the beginning of CS:GO. So yeah, he's actually one of the AWPers I feel really confident and comfortable playing against. But there is no doubt that he's always been like among the top top three best AWPers in the world, a bit like me. So he's definitely a rival. I've played him in a lot of intense and important games, such as the major finals and the kind of things. So yeah, he's a rival. Yeah, that is a rival.
Kenny, I want to ask a little bit more about Guardian and the difference between your two styles. But before we do that, I just want to quickly ask, you said that the group is going to be tough. I just want to ask, what is your assessment of these teams? Obviously, FaZe is going to be playing with Exist instead of Olaf, and then we also have Cloud9 in that group, which has some changes.
I forgot that Olaf wasn't playing with FaZe.
Olaf
Holy,
will not be playing with FaZe. So I guess just at a glance, what is your opinion of this group? You said it's going to be tough, but are there any things that specifically stand out to you?
My real opinion about it is that the names are tough, but I think the current shape of every teams in the group are not very well. Let's say that FaZe has been quite underwhelming since all of the step down for personal issue. I think they are not at their best. They're still FaZe and they are still doing damages, even though they are not winning every games like they used to do. Cloud9 has been changing as well. They are not like scary like they used to do. They used to be like maybe like 2 months ago. or maybe 2 weeks ago, whatever. But I mean, it's still Cloud9 is still phase, you know, like he's still a best of one game and potentially best of three. But I think we're gonna maybe if we play, I think we play Cloud9 first. I'm not sure about it, but it's gonna be best of one, and it's gonna be a tough game anyway. But yeah, as I said, the names are more scary than the shape of the teams, I would say.
Completely understand.
I like how you said, you know, it's Cloud9. Like, look at them 2 months. I mean, like 2 weeks ago. Like it feels like months ago.
Yeah.
But it really hasn't been that long at all.
It does feel like a long time ago, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually want to ask a couple questions about the rosters you mentioned, Kenny. But before we do that, there was Josh touched on something that I wanted to bring back up, which was the difference between you and Guardian in terms of your AWPing styles. Would you be able to talk a little bit about what sets you two apart?
Let's if you in the big picture would be that Guardian likes to hold angles and is really good at it. And I really like to go close combat and play quickscope. It's like one is more passive, one is more aggressive. I think Guardian is able to do both. I think I'm able to do both, but there is one out of two that we better at. Like for example, Guardian is better at being passive and better at being aggressive. I think at our both level, we must be complete. We must be able to adapt our game style because sometimes we both need to be aggressive, but then we need to be passive, and sometimes we need to be more passive than aggressive because it depends of the opponent. So yeah, I think we both really complete in terms of hoping, and yeah, I think the difference between like the difference would be the during the G-Day, you know, who is gonna be the hottest on the D-Day, who's gonna be the best on the D-Day, who's gonna be gonna feel the most comfortable on the D-Day. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty tough to compare it above our game style because I would say that we both really complete. But if I had to compare, I would say that it's more passive than I am.
Kenny, I want to ask. I had a chance to talk to Guardian really recently, actually, and I asked him about how he was different from other AWPers, and he said that he felt like he was one of the most dedicated to having an AWP at all times. Like, he will play without armor if he has to, and if his IGL will let him. Like, obviously, like that whole situation. But he's like, I'll play with an AWP without armor. I don't care. I'm not afraid of losing that duel. Like, what do you feel about that style? And like, have you ever been in a position where you were like, just give me an AWP, I don't care if I have armor?
Yeah, I was been in that case, to be honest. Like, if you actually look at my game, sometimes I just buy an AWP without cheat without armor. Especially back in the days in 2014, 2015, I didn't mind having like. I think it's just about confidence, you know. Like, if you're confident with your weapon, if you're confident in yourself, as long as you have your weapon in hand, it doesn't matter what you have. You know, if you have an armor, if you have utilities, it doesn't matter. I think it's just about confidence.
Well, that's pretty well said.
Fair point. Now, we touched a little bit on Cloud9. We made a few jokes about them a minute ago, but they just someone formerly from their roster, Stewie2k, just made a blockbuster, crazy move. Went to SK Gaming. It shocked me. I wanted to get first your thoughts on that particular move, Kenny, and then I wanted to ask, would you consider a similarly shocking regional move?
Yeah.
I would consider it, but not right now, to be honest. I had the opportunity already, to be honest, but I didn't want to. You know, I'm very close to my family, my friends, my girlfriend, and I think making such sacrifices is not something I could consider right now, especially that I still have things to do in France. But yeah, I would consider it like in a few years maybe, probably, to be honest. And talking about SK move, I think it has been a bit disappointing to me to see that SK has been an example to everyone on CS, especially because they were they were giving the picture of being so close to each other and solving issue together and not giving up, and asking so many international players to join SK seems to be like I don't know. It has been quite disappointing because let me think. Like it is like an admission of weakness to me, you know. As I said, there has been quite an example for everyone because of the mindset of they see the game, or they see a team, or they see a group, or they see each other as friends. So yeah, it has been quite disappointing to see that they were trying to get international players, but I think it's a little bit too early to say that if it's gonna work or not. I think Stewie is an amazing player. I really like him. I'm really happy for him, and I just wish him to be successful. But yeah, that's not the. That was quite surprising for everyone because that's not SK we know. So that's it. That's pretty much it. I don't have much opinion about it. I think that's a surprising move, but we gotta wait and see.
Fair enough. Do you think that going forward in the CS scene, we're going to be seeing more of those moves? By which I mean more people leaving their region, even when there may be a language barrier, and creating so-called super teams or creating rosters that a few years ago we may not have seen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, CS is getting bigger every day. It's growing up. It's growing, and obviously more money is involved. So yeah, today you can see it with FaZe, with Mouse Esports, with a lot of team that is international today, and it's working pretty well so far. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the future of CS, having more international teams. I think you will see it, and maybe in a few years every team will be international. I don't know, but I think it's just following everything. The fact that the game is growing and stuff. It's just a normal step for CS to have international teams, and it's gonna be like that for a while, and it's gonna improve again, I think.
Given the change in SK, that's obviously a Brazilian team, and I think with that team and your team, Kenny, I think there's a bit of parallels as far as keeping a pure national roster. Is that where some of your disappointment is coming from? Like, would you have preferred if SK kept with a Brazilian player, whether he was new or old?
Well, my disappointment comes mostly from the fact that they were not like in a really bad situation. I think they were like maybe like still top three best team in the world, and they didn't have much of disappointment in terms of result. But in another hand, we don't really know the story about Taco. Like apparently left the team. So as long as he left the team, that's a normal things to replace him. Even though I don't believe in that, I just think they wanted to keep players, and they wanted to bring some players such as like Flamey and Simple. So yeah, I think that's the disappointment come from the fact that I don't think they needed a change, and like from the outside they always seem to be super mature coming up, like facing the facing the problems in the teams and solving them together. And it seems like they didn't manage to do it, and they actually choose to get the easiest solution. That's the disappointment, in my opinion. But I'm not behind the scene. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they take that decision. So I can't actually talk go about it.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, in hearing you talk about that and having studied your own career a little bit, I feel like I sort of get some of your frustration because you yourself stuck it out with some rosters that had some pretty rough results. And so to see like a top 3 team be like, well, we got to make some changes because we didn't. Yeah, I totally get that. I think that frustration makes a lot of sense. And I don't think anybody was counting SK out. Like they had a run of bad results, but they still looked like a team that was in form, right? It didn't look like those problems were unsolvable.
And bad for the framework of SK Gaming.
Yes.
Not even objectively bad.
Yeah, so I agree.
Right?
I agree.
This is actually a topic that I find really interesting, Kenny, and I've been thinking about it a lot because of some of these recent roster moves or some of these recent potential roster moves that were reported on and didn't happen. You just mentioned Simple and Flamey, for example, and I'm really glad that you said that in your view, SK didn't need to blow up the roster quite so quickly, because I have trouble discerning when a team feels like why they feel like they need to make big changes, because you can see the difference in philosophies, right? Some teams are very eager to change things up after a short time, maybe not great results. Other teams like a Virtus Pro will stick with that core, that entire 5-man actually, for a very long time through very poor results. Yeah. And I just wanted to know from your perspective, when, like, how do you know when it's time and which philosophy is best?
I cannot say what's best. I mean, French has never been a great example anyway. But I think you're actually making changes when it's the last thing to do. I think you can solve issue together, and if you don't solve the issue, you consider making changes. Making changes has been the easiest way to fix issues. So yeah, I think everyone deserves a chance, and if you think so, and if you think that we all have our issue, we all have problems, we all hurt. Like when a team is going bad, it's kind of the fault of everyone, and sometimes more sometimes it's like more player than the others, but whatever. I think if you can solve the problem together, yeah, you make a change. Otherwise, you do your best to make it work. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's tough. It's difficult, especially for us completely on the outside. You're mentioning, of course, you don't know the internal workings of SK Gaming or Cloud9, and it's just like I said, it's so strange for me to see a team like Virtus Pro keep that same roster, but then Cloud9 wins the major, and then it's like, okay, goodbye to our arguably our star player, right? Yeah. It's shocking from a fan perspective. It is shocking.
And they let him go too. Yeah. That's the other thing, right? We found out that they let Stewie go. Like he was.
Is that right? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They came out and said he was on a 2-year contract, and I don't know if there was a buyout. There could have been a buyout, but in any case,
if he was on the contract, they probably had a buyout. Yeah.
Yeah, but what we definitely know is like he was under contract. He had just signed a 2-year deal like a few months previous, so he was under a long-term deal, but. You know, they let this happen, and so to me, I don't know. Maybe that implies that there were issues that were just already a problem, and when he's like, I'm out. Yeah. You know.
I would even say that like it wasn't necessarily a change because of a problem. I think he's almost there because of what SK is. Like he wants to be there to learn as much as he possibly can from this star roster.
Yeah.
And then bring it back to NA.
Oh, you're saying he's like a secret agent.
Kind of.
He's like Stewie2k 007.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I think Stewie is one of the players that is really eager to win, and SK has been a really great example of winning. So I think Stewie, as soon as he gets the proposal, didn't think about it like more than 5 minutes, and just rushed to it. That's the I know that Stewie like. He really wants to win. Like everyone wants to win, but Stewie is another level of competitiveness. So I actually think that he's not a secret agent. I think he just wanna play with the best player he can play with in order to win.
I think that Dennis may be just sort of crafting this story to save North American CS:GO, because we here obviously live in North America. We follow North American CS particularly closely, and losing Stewie2k is it's not what we want.
it's a tough pill.
Don't lump me in with you guys, all right?
Okay, all right.
I'm a traitor to NACS.
Yeah,
What's
you
up?
are. You've been a European fan for a long time.
Yeah.
It's true. Speaking of, you just mentioned, Kenny, that SK, some of the best in the world. That core, Taco is gone, but Cold is still there. Fallen is still there. I wanted to actually ask how you rate coldzera. It sounds like a silly question because it's assumed that he is incredible. He's great. He's in the top 3 for greatest player, if not the greatest player currently. But I want to know what you think.
Yeah, I think he's an amazing player. I think he has the world to be amazing anyway. Like everyone anyway. I mean, every player that are amazing has the help of their role and or the team use them. But I also think coldzera will suffer of Taco absence. I think Taco was really the key player for him. I know coldzera gives a lot of credit to Taco, and there is a reason for that. He has been an amazing support to him, and I think it's gonna be slightly harder for coldzera without Taco. But there is no doubt that coldzera is still the best player in the world, and maybe it's not long gonna be in the future, but only the future will tell. But yeah, I think he's gonna suffer a bit from the fact that Taco left.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because that's kind of what I was thinking when a little while ago, when the speculation about Simple and Flamey going over there.
Yeah.
I thought, well, Taco is like this unreal support player. He enables people so well, and Simple is not, right?
Yeah.
Or Flamey for that matter. Yeah.
Or Flamey, yeah, or Flamey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had Simple front of mind because we just did a big project on him, a big video project on him, and actually that's why I asked about coldzera, because we're gonna do a big project on him as well, and we just did one on kennyS as well, so you guys should check that out if you're listening to this podcast.
Somebody put that up here in post.
yeah, in post production
Right
we'll put
up
it
here.
right where Josh is pointing. Now, Josh, I think you also had a couple questions that were historically pointed towards the ye old AWP nerf in 2015.
Yeah, Kenny, I just want to briefly ask about the AWP nerf, because I think that this is an interesting topic today, because we've seen the role of the AWP change a little bit, and some people have argued that the AWP in its current form is maybe not really that great, maybe not worth how much money you have to spend unless you're like really one of the best players in the world for this thing. So I want to ask just quickly, when the AWP nerf went through, what was your immediate perception of it? What was how did you immediately feel when it went through in 2015 and suddenly you moved a lot slower when scoped in?
I cried. No, I mean, yeah, that was super difficult to me. Yeah, I still think that nerf has been that they did that nerf for me, because I mean, the hope was obviously to overpowered back then. I think it needed a nerf. I think they made the movement a little bit too slow. I think this was way too much. I remember like at the beginning of the update, I was speaking, and it was so slow that I was speaking and I was shooting in the wall, and I was dying straight afterwards. So it was super hard for me to adapt because I had to. I didn't have to change my game style, but I had to adapt it, and my game style remained the same somehow. But I had to change a lot of things still. I had to there was a lot of things that I was doing that I could not do anymore. So I had to find new stuff. I had to play a bit different. So yeah, it was super hard for me at the beginning. Like maybe the first months were like hell for me. But then I got used to it because I had no choice. But let's say that this update was super hard for me to. That was super hard, and it hit me pretty hard.
About how long do you think it took you to get back to feeling like comfortable, and what was that process like? Did you just continue to practice the way you had, but just adapt to this new thing?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I did. I there was nothing to do. I was just like just playing and get used to the movement. And yeah, that just the fact that I was practicing the same than before, but it just with some just with the fact that it was just different, you know. And after a few months, I got used to it, but I got super depressed at the beginning, and it got a little bit longer for me to adapt because like I got hit. Like even in my motivation, I was like, "Damn, why did they do that? That's so unfair for me because I actually felt like they did it for me. They did it because of me. That's not necessarily true, but that's how I felt." Uh, and then yeah, I had to keep playing. I had to keep going. So I got used to it, and at the end, I still agree on the fact that the whole was overpowered, but yeah, the nerf was like slightly too much about the movements.
Kenny, I hearing you talk about the nerf and admitting that, like, okay, something maybe it needs to be nerfed a little bit, but maybe not agreeing with how far they went. Just as a hypothetical here, is there a world where this nerf doesn't happen? Your playstyle becomes the clearly dominant op playstyle, and the next generation of oppers are all patterned on kennyS. Like they're all like, I'm gonna get up close, I'm just gonna peek people and wreck them with this op.
What's the question, Scotty?
It like hypothetically, if they hadn't nerfed it, do you think that your op playstyle would have become the dominant playstyle that oppers are trying to emulate, given that you could move so quickly?
Yeah, well, well, I still think that some AWPers get me as an example, and I'm happy about it. I have some example like a few days ago, I followed a newcomer AWPers that paying for Sprout, Natosafix, and he told me that he watched a lot of demos about me, and but I think if they didn't do that nerf, I would still be dominant more than I am right now, I would say, because before the nerf I was pretty dominant. Uh, and out of the AWPers, you were thinking about me, and mostly GW as well, because GW are also like GW game style is quite similar to mine. So yeah, I think people would have taken us as biggest examples, and and yeah, I think nowadays it would be like the the most common game style.
Okay, and yeah, Kenny, I wasn't trying to imply that people don't look up to you. I wasn't trying to imply that. I was just saying, like, I feel like that style of opping would have become like more of the default if it had never been changed, because I think it was already heading that way. the fact that JW was able to do what he was doing as well. Like, even though he wasn't necessarily like a full-time opper, he'd just get an op and he would just start wrecking people. But yeah, that's. I didn't want to imply anything. I wasn't trying to malign you or anything.
You mentioned you touched on there, Kenny, for a moment. People who look up to you, maybe in play style or just as the caliber of player in general that you are. Do you have any other examples of that? Do you know any other players who look up to you that way?
Well, I don't know. I would say like a lot of players in matchmaking, in faceit games. Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of. I don't watch a lot of games nowadays, to be honest. I'm like, you know, I actually don't really like watching CS. I love CS, but like watching it is getting a bit boring for me as I play it all the time now. You know what I mean? So I could not say which AWPers is like looking like into my game style and trying to replicate. But yeah, I think there is a lot of newcomers, AWPers that are pretty good in the subtop or in other countries that look for me. I also think that a lot of people in matchmaking face it because I play actually a lot of matchmaking at Face It with friends. I've seen a lot of people trying to play like me, like naming their AWP like me. So that's I think that's actually the best feeling as a player to have people looking out for you. Trying to be you. That's actually the best feeling.
Well, Kenny, I'll tell you, in my unbelievably scrubby silver matchmaking games, I have seen more than one kennyS. So they're definitely out there. They're definitely looking up to you. And I completely understand what you mean about your job is to play CS, so you don't watch that much CS. I can totally understand that. I think my brain would melt if I were in that.
That's super hard. It is.
Now, I know we have to let you go in a moment for practice, I believe. But before we do, is there anything that you wanted to say that we didn't get a chance to bring up? Any topics or just a shout out to your fans?
Well, yeah, shout out to my fans because it's always important to have fans around. They make you what you are. So thanks to them all around the world, everywhere. As I said earlier, the best feeling as a player is to see that you're an example for people. So thanks to them, and thanks to you for the interview as well. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, that's it. Thanks. I think that's it.
Yeah, actually, we kind of touched on it a little, but
Oh, Dennis is trying to sneak a last one in.
you obviously saw our little feature on you, the story of kennyS. Since you saw it, and since we have you on the line, do you have any thoughts on it? Maybe critiques, like maybe something that we missed?
Did you like it?
No, I don't think so. I think there was a small mistake, but I don't remember where. So let's say it was perfect.
Well, I think it was. It might have been Apex who responded, said that LDLC didn't release you guys. You broke up. But like I was like LDLC said they released you because people didn't want to play together. So like I was like it's pretty close, but yeah, that's cool. Dennis, don't embarrass me and bring up the movie in front of Kenny.
He said it was perfect though. we can edit it to say it's perfect. There you go.
That was not a mistake. It did.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's perfect. You heard of it. It's perfect.
But it's fine. No worries. Otherwise, I would appreciate what you did, and the video is great. It's really great.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that.
We spent a lot of time on it.
Kenny, you thanked the fans and you even thanked us, but believe me, the pleasure has been ours. We want to thank you so much for your time, making time for the theScore Esports podcast. It really has been a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure is mine as well. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Bye,
again soon,
Kenny.
Kenny.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. I really, really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah.
He was
living legend.
living legend, and I've never had the pleasure of corresponding with him in any form email, Skype, in person, and I don't know if I was expecting him to be sort of that personable, that open.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Sometimes we get guests on this podcast, and they're very nice people. They're good people, but they're not as free in the interview. Maybe they're a little like mentally distracted, but
Yeah.
I feel like he was just right there. He was giving us some great answers. We had a good conversation. Super happy the way that turned out.
I knew right from the beginning that it was going to be good because of his hello right at the beginning.
Yeah, he was very like, it's good that it was 1 p.m. for him and not 8 a.m. like it is for us, because he might have been like a little sleepier. But
well, when I was doing the research for that video, the kennyS video, he actually is very open about all of the things that he's done, the mistakes he's made, the struggles. So I'm not completely surprised by it, because I knew that he was sort of open to discussing those things. He's never really tried to shy away from those things. And even though there aren't a ton of kennyS interviews out there, the ones that are there are very open.
Yeah, and in this room, like, you are the kennyS expert by virtue of, you know, if you guys don't check the credits on YouTube, which I'm sure you don't, the story of kennyS, the product we were referring to, the video, Josh wrote that. So he did a lot of research. He knows a lot about Kenny's career. Me, I just like to watch G2. I just like to see him do well.
Sick flicks.
Almost
right there. Boom.
that elbow movement.
And we should be able to see some cool flicks when they play FaZe.
Oh man.
Another Guardian Kenny matchup.
Well, you guys know I am a Guardian stan. Like, I'm a true Guardian fanboy.
Yeah.
So that matchup is going to be really fun to watch, especially since, as Kenny alluded to, and not even just that matchup, but a lot of these teams, Kenny said it, they have scary names, but their rosters right now, who knows?
These are the fun tournaments for me.
Yeah.
And I know that for some people, it's like, I want to see every team at their prime. And I want them to all play each other, and it's like gods fighting, and like that's what I want.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't want that.
Okay.
I want to see what SK is gonna do with Stewie2k. I want to see what the hell Cloud9's gonna do.
Yeah.
I want to see how things shake out, right? Like, I want to see like an ordering of the universe, and from there storylines can blossom. But like, you got to plant the seeds right now, and like with so many teams in a state of just disorder.
Yeah.
Like, this is the exciting tournament for me, man. Like, that's what I love.
That's it. This is a huge pulse check of the state of so many teams. It's the first LAN for a lot of these teams since huge changes or huge speculated changes. So I mean, you're gonna want to pay attention to a lot of these matchups.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. Like, these are absolutely the most interesting tournaments for me, and it sounds like there's changes, and some of these rosters may not even survive this tournament, right? Like, there could be people just trying stuff out. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, that really didn't work. We want to get rid of that. So I think it's one to watch, and that group is just going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, until then, guys, that about wraps it up for us here at the Score Esports podcast. Once again, we want to thank you for listening, and we really want to thank our guest, kennyS, for taking the time to speak to us. Until next time, for Josh Burry, cut you off there, for Dennis Gonzalez. Okay, I'm calling. I don't know what that hand symbol meant. I don't know.
It's from K-pop.
Some dank shit.
Wait,
Of
what?
course it is. Of course.
That?
What is it?
It's supposed to be a heart.
Oh, I thought that was the, like, for a second I thought that was like the how Italians do things meme. That was really popular at the beginning of 2017.
This?
No, I lost the game.
Actually, don't know what that is. I'm really old.
Okay, let's.
I have a hand symbol. Oh, no.
Yeah, so Dennis had to shove his hand into my camera shot because I refused to switch to him because I didn't want you at home to lose the game. I was protecting you.
You all lost.
But you all lost, yeah.
Hey, for those of you who have no idea what the fuck these two guys are talking about, welcome to my world. This has been Colin McNeil saying we'll see you next time on the Score Esports podcast. Until then, GG.